Das ist Kunst. Der Podcast der Deichtorhallen Hamburg.
Es ist Krieg in der Ukraine. Seit dem Beginn des großflächigen russischen Angriffskrieges am 24. Februar sind schon einige Monate vergangen und UkrainerInnen müssen sich an einen Alltag gewöhnen, der eigentlich keiner ist. Was ist in Kriegszeiten normal? Damit befasst sich The New Abnormal, die aktuelle Ausstellung im Foxy, dem temporären Haus der Fotografie der Deichtorhallen Hamburg. Zu sehen sind Werke von 12 ukrainischen FotografInnen aus dem neuen, abnormalen Normalzustand, dem Leben im Krieg. The New Abnormal ist eine Kooperation mit dem Odesa Photo Days Festival. Dieses internationale Festival für zeitgenössische Fotografie, das einzige seiner Art in der Ukraine, gibt es seit 8 Jahren. 2022 wurden die Odesa Photo Days aufgrund des russischen Angriffskrieges abgesagt. Dieser Krieg hält seit Februar an. Wir wissen heute nicht, was morgen passieren wird, sagt die künstlerische Leiterin des Odesa Photo Days Festivals, Kateryna Radchenko, die gemeinsam mit Ingo Tauporn die Ausstellung im Foxy kuratiert hat. Ich habe mit Radchenko darüber gesprochen, wie sie die letzten Monate im Krieg in der Ukraine erlebt hat. Darüber, wie Arbeit und Alltag im Krieg überhaupt funktionieren können. Wie ist die Situation für ukrainische KünstlerInnen und wie können männliche Fotografen, die eigentlich in die Armee eingezogen werden sollen, beispielsweise überhaupt zu einer Ausstellungseröffnung ausreisen? Inwiefern unterscheiden sich Bilder ukrainischer KünstlerInnen von den internationalen Berichterstattungen? Ein zentrales Thema meines Gesprächs mit Kateryna Radchenko ist die ukrainische Perspektive auf den Krieg und aus dem nicht alltäglichen Alltag im Krieg. Hier noch ein Hinweis für euch. Das Gespräch habe ich mit Kateryna Radchenko auf Englisch geführt. I heard you saying today that it's kind of impossible to give an honest answer to the question, how are you since February? How have you been dealing personally with the past few months since the full-scale Russian invasion into all of Ukraine started in February?
Well, I could say from my perspective, it's also completely new experience for me, to live during the war. And by now, I already was twice under the bombs, under the rocket attack. And the first time it was actually 24th of February, when I flew Kyiv in the morning, we passed by, our car bus passed by Hostomel airport. And at that time, it started to be bombed. So that was the first time when we actually saw what is a war. But it still was too fresh to analyze, to really think about this, to really understand what's going on. So it was kind of really, really tough moment when everything starts and you're more focusing on that you have to flee from this place and you have really run away to more safe place in somewhere in Ukraine. And the second time, actually, I flew from Kyiv to Lviv, to the west part of Ukraine, and I stayed there 3 months. And once the Lviv were bombed as well, and in that time it was next to the train station. I was on the train station in the morning. I had to take my train to Poland and then to Venice Biennale. And actually when it happened, I remember that it was strange experience, because on the beginning I thought it's the sound and the wave, I thought it's just connecting the trains, and I even told to the woman inside my train that okay, no worries, it's just connecting two different wagons, connecting two different trains together. But then I saw the scared faces of the people. And then it was clear that, okay, this is the rocket attack. So I had to run. And also, when I ran to the bomb shelter, I pick up one kid with me. And in this moment, I couldn't say that, I was fair, I had a fear or scared. It was absolutely clear understanding that I have to run and I have to pick up someone who needs help. So this was absolutely clear for me. I wasn't in a panic. I tried to talk to the kids with whom we ran together. But in the same time, there was a moment when I saw the second rocket. It was just up to us. And it was, I knew that we have just few seconds before it's
detonating.
Yeah, detonating. So, and then for me it was really like the question, okay, will we manage to run to the bomb shelter by these few seconds, or what the influences will be for us? It was super scared, and especially because I was not alone anymore. Like I pick up someone's kid. Luckily, everything like finished like in the good way. Like in the train station, like everybody, we reached the bomb shelter. So like it didn't affect us, but like these 3 rockets which comes to Lviv this day, it's affected and killed other families in another area of Lviv.
Kateryna Radchenko über ihren ersten direkten Kontakt mit dem Krieg am 24. Februar in Kiew und in Lviv, wohin sie zunächst geflüchtet ist und sich dann auch dort vor einem russischen Raketenangriff in Sicherheit bringen musste. Eindrücke, die sich in ihrer ganzen Wucht nur schwer vermitteln lassen, die sich von Menschen ohne Kriegserfahrung nicht vollständig nachvollziehen lassen, sagt Radchenko.
But also it's clear that like if the people around doesn't have this experience, they will never understand. You can tell this story so many times, you can like really share your emotions, but like people will not understand because like it's different. But another things which I understood later, that like even doesn't matter how big is your experience, because like I think like my experience is small compared with the people who arrive from the north part of Ukraine or from Kharkiv or from Mariupol. Like absolutely, like it's not possible to compare. But even with this small experience which I have, like has this traumatic experience, and now I'm reflecting on the certain sounds in the daily life. So like it's made me panic attacks, it's made me behave completely different. I can't control it by myself. So like this, like some certain sounds could completely like change my day if I'm hearing this. And this is like just beginning, because like it's clear that the war is not finished yet, and we don't know how it will develop. We don't know like what else will happen with us. So like, but all these like small things, it comes together, and now we are still not reflecting on them. Now we are still not understanding like how big influences is.
Because the war situation is ongoing. It's still happening.
Absolutely, because it's still going on, and because like we still can't really reflect. And but then like yes, and then like it could happen like that we'll find out that we are really mentally broke, and it's complicated.
Nur langsam werden Kateryna Radchenko die mentalen, die psychischen Auswirkungen der Kriegserlebnisse klar. Zeit für Reflexion ist in der aktuellen anhaltenden Kriegssituation in der Ukraine nicht vorhanden. Aber die traumatischen Erfahrungen, vor Bomben wegzulaufen, haben ihre Spuren hinterlassen. Auch bei Radchenko. So let me ask, from that situation of shock and the situation where you're just concerned, how am I going to stay alive? From that situation to somehow getting back to some form of everyday life, and also to the work that you do for Odesa Photo Days. How did that work for you?
The work helped me a lot to control my mental health. I have a lot of responsibility for the artists, for the work what I'm doing, for my team with whom I'm working, and this responsibility like really helped me really like focus on the still good quality work, good quality production, and different projects which we are producing. So in this case, it's really helped me from the way of the mental health. From another side, it's really killed me on the way of the physical situation, because of course like from 24th of February I didn't have any single day of vacation, and it's also like complicated for the body and for this like to work in this speed all the time. But yeah, I hope to have it.
I can only imagine it's hard to step back in that kind of a situation and to get some rest at all, mental rest. What is the situation like for the network of artists and photographers that you work with? One big question, because here we always hear all the men have to go into the army. There's actually different specifics with men being drafted, when they're being drafted. The male photographers that you work with, what's the situation like for them versus female photographers in Ukraine?
I would say that like we have a few waves of mobilization. So like if you don't have any It's like army experience. You will be not mobilized by the first or second wave of mobilization, so you need to have some experience. Then of course they could be all invited to the army in the certain point, of course, and that's why for the males it's not possible to leave country in the age between 18 and 60. And for example, for Ukrainian artists, if they would like to go for the opening of the exhibition or for the talk or international event, they have to ask the permission from the Ministry of Culture. And also this permission, it's gives possibility to leave country for the 1 week, for 2 weeks maximum, really for the short period of time that you can go for the event to present your works and to show the works and then back home. So this is how it works now. And also it's different compared with the female artists. For the female artists, of course, now it's a lot of possibilities. They could leave Ukraine, they could have the residency program, and especially for them who has kids, and they can really go to another country temporarily to stay there with their kids and to still to focus on the art and to work. But also a lot of female artists decided to stay here in Ukraine. They decided to work in the same positions on the front line, to work together with Ukrainian army and really to put their lives in the risk. So it's also up to each decision. And also I could say the same about the male artists. We have quite a lot of options and possibilities to bring them to exhibition, but also quite often they just don't want to do it, they don't want to go. And the first, because it's super tiring to travel nowadays, you need from Kharkiv to go to to Europe, it's 3 days. From Kiev, it will be 2 days. But this is really long way of the changing transportation. It was not possible to plan logistics because it's not clear how many hours you'll stay on the border between Ukraine and Poland. And from another side, it's also kind of feelings that if they will leave, they will miss something. Mm-hmm. Because as they're covering the life now every day, this is really, really strong that they're afraid to scare, to leave country, that maybe something happened, something important or something crucial, and they're really scared to miss something, so they prefer to stay in Ukraine.
Die männlichen ukrainischen Fotografen, die zur Ausstellungseröffnung von The New Abnormal aus der Ukraine nach Hamburg ins Foxy kamen, um ihre Arbeiten vorzustellen, mussten ihre zeitlich begrenzte Ausreise beim ukrainischen Kulturministerium beantragen. Viele Künstler, die diese Möglichkeit hätten, entschieden sich aber dafür, vor Ort in der Ukraine zu bleiben, um weiter dokumentieren und helfen zu können, sagt Kateryna Radchenko. Let's talk about Odesa Photo Days. It has been and is the only festival for contemporary photography in Ukraine.
Yes, it was established in 2015, and at that time it was only, and it still is, only one international photography festival in Ukraine.
Centered around supporting and giving a platform to Ukrainian photographers, but also connecting Ukrainian photographers with an international network, creating international visibility. Is that's something that was a general part of Odesa Photo Days, if I understand correctly?
In general, our main focus, it was to give the education. This was and still is our goal of our festival, because in Ukraine it's still not possible to receive the education at university on the photography. You can have the knowledge about the composition, about the simple way how to work in the studio or something like this, or documentary photography, but not really the information how to read the image, or about the photography in the the political context of photography in the contemporary art, all these levels.
Theory.
Theory, history, all these levels of the photography. So, and as we have this lack of information, because of this, I think we have a good platform to provide the manipulation and media manipulation. And I'm thinking it's not only our problem, it's a global problem nowadays, because the manipulations now, which I can see how it's spreading everywhere, in France, in Germany, everywhere, how the information could be so easily manipulated. And this is both for me the crucial point, to teach people, photographers and audience and the young generation, how to work with the image, how to read it, how to understand the context, and how really like work with the image, not just to observe it and to believe, not at all. It's just like really like to analyze it. So this was our crucial idea, and we kept it like during 8 years of the festival. We invited like international artists, curators to Odessa, like to share their knowledge. Also, like we did the program really try like to show the photography from completely different countries, from Asia, from Latin America, from Central Europe, so completely from different places.
Seit 8 Jahren verbindet das Odesa Photo Days Festival nicht nur ukrainische FotografInnen mit einem internationalen Netzwerk und stellt internationale Fotografie in der Ukraine aus, sondern möchte vor allem Bildung, Kompetenzen im Umgang mit Fotografie vermitteln. Jungen ukrainischen FotografInnen Medienkompetenz und einen kritischen Umgang mit Bildern zu vermitteln, das ist von Anfang an das zentrale Anliegen des Odesa Photo Days Festivals gewesen, sagt Leiterin Kateryna Radchenko. Diese Art fotografischer Ausbildung komme in künstlerischen Ausbildungswegen in der Ukraine zu kurz. Sie selbst konnte keinen Abschluss in Fotografie in der Ukraine machen, ging dafür ins Ausland. Your own path in photography, you studied photography in multiple countries, right? And you had a path that kind of took you away from the Ukraine, but you're kind of trying to bring that back into the Ukrainian photography scene, if I understand correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. Like actually when I was interested in photography, it was not possible to study it in Ukraine. So my degree is philosophy. I studied philosophy. But as I was so interested in photography, I had to travel abroad to receive the knowledge. So like I did the fellowship in USA, I did the program in Poland, so I really traveled a lot, like just like to meet the people, to talk, to get the information. I asked my colleagues from Lithuania to send me books and to read these books, like it was like in beginning in 2000s. So it was really like crucial for me, and I know how it's difficult. And yeah, absolutely, like based on my experience, how I search for all this knowledge, I wanted like now all my knowledge which I have, but also like plus invited like other curators and other artists to build this possibility for the Ukrainian artists in a more easier way to receive this knowledge.
Das internationale Festival für zeitgenössische Fotografie Odesa Photo Days wurde 2015 als Reaktion auf den Krieg gegründet, den Russland damals schon im Osten der Ukraine begonnen hatte. In Odessa konnte das Festival 2022 jetzt natürlich nicht stattfinden, musste abgesagt werden. Neben einigen anderen internationalen Kooperationen wurde innerhalb von wenigen Monaten die Ausstellung The New Abnormal organisiert. Bis auf ein paar Ausnahmen sind die Fotos der ausgestellten FotografInnen aus dem Netzwerk der Odesa Photo Days in den Monaten seit Kriegsbeginn entstanden. Schnell auf die neue Ausnahmesituation zu reagieren, weiterzuarbeiten und vor allem zu dokumentieren, ist eine der Stärken der ukrainischen FotografInnen aus dem Netzwerk der Odesa Photo Days, sagt Kateryna Radchenko.
I could say that like maybe Ukrainian are just good in the fast reaction because like it's really like everything what I'm doing, it's just observe first and then react fast on the situation. Each exhibition which we are producing right now, it's reflection on the situation nowadays. And like each exhibition, like normally, like when you're working on developing the show, you need like half a year minimum or like 1 year sometimes. But now we don't have this time. So like we have really to observe, to analyze, and really like to be able to react and to do it in this super short time, super short moment. And of course, like on the beginning, when the full escalation war starts, like for me, it was like few days, I could say like 1 week. I was also lost, of course, and it was a moment when I had like waited when all my family will be in the safe place to be able to start to work. But also from another side, I was also like observed that like okay, like a lot of my colleagues now working on the front line, a lot of my colleagues now is involved and like staying in these dangerous places, and then I reacted that we have to react and to really collect these materials and to help to spread the information. From June, the media focus became less, and it's less and less media now. It's interesting to publish the photography from Ukraine, especially in summer. Nobody wanted to talk about Ukraine and to show what's going on. The problem that the war still is that the war didn't finish. We are still facing the death every day, and so then I thought about the different possibility to tell the stories, and this possibility is exhibitions and this evening screenings, for example, because during the exhibition I can still create my voice, I can create the statement and really to tell what's going on, but different way, different approaches, but it still works. And in this case we just reacted again on the situation, on the time frame, and we are now mostly working on the exhibition.
Um ihre Lebensrealität im Krieg sichtbar zu machen und die Berichterstattung in den Nachrichten durch künstlerische Perspektiven und Produktionen zu ergänzen, heißt es für Kateryna Radchenko und viele ihrer ukrainischen KollegInnen weiterarbeiten, nicht lange planen, Fotos so schnell wie möglich veröffentlichen und in Ausstellungen bringen. Das ist während des anhaltenden Krieges in der Ukraine das Wichtigste für Radchenko und ihr Netzwerk an FotografInnen des Odesa Photo Days Festivals.
Every time when I agreed about any projects and we are talking, that we are planning that it will be in 1 month or in 5 months, but I'm trying to send files as soon as possible because I don't know what happens with me or with my team. So we don't know. We can't have and handle the long.
You have to act now.
Yes, we don't have this time because we just don't know.
Eine schwelende Kriegssituation im Osten der Ukraine und auf der Krim begleitet das Odesa Photo Days Festival schon seit der Entstehung 2015. Aber seit Februar 2022, seit Beginn des russischen Angriffskrieges auf die gesamte Ukraine, verschwimmen die Grenzen zwischen dokumentarischer und künstlerischer Fotografie. Die FotografInnen zeigen ungeschönt den Kriegsalltag und Grausamkeiten und verlieren dabei aber nicht die eigene künstlerische Handschrift. The festival has kind of existed alongside, parallel to situations of war already since the beginning. At least since 2015, when it started, there was already Russian military action in eastern Ukraine. There was Crimea, the annexion of Crimea, and probably there was already some photographers taking pictures of the war that was already going on. Months before the war started in February, you said you were kind of already waiting. You were kind of in a state of already waiting for the war. In what ways is the war diffusing these boundaries between documentary journalistic photography and artistic photography?
It's a good question, but also I think it's a little bit too early to answer on this question because when we are talking about the artistical approaches, it's also quite often and it should be based on the reflection. And now it's still not possible to reflect. For the reflection, we need time and space and quiet moment to think, to reflect, to understand what's going on. And by myself, actually, I'm still didn't had any single moment to reflect and to really to analyze the situation, not the situation, but reflect as an artist and as a curator in a different way. So this is really too early for the reflection, but still, I would like to say that documentary, which is now a lot of artists working on the documentary style from one side, but their approach still is super artistic. The approach which they developed much more before the war, and this approach now they're using for the covering the documentary stories, and then the documentary stories became even more interesting because it's combination of the documentary stories but this different visual approach and different visual language, and this combination is brilliant in my opinion. Lisa Bokereva, she is actually they documented and really work on the rave topic, and also she did a brilliant series about the kissing people and about the life of the youth in Ukraine, and it's a beautiful, bright series. But now she have to work on the topic of the war, and she is working as a photojournalist, but at the same time she also they did the series War Diary, which we'll show during the exhibition, and it's intimate works about her feelings, about her emotions, about how she is going through this as an artist, but also as a person, as a Ukrainian. So this is really intimate combination by the text and black and white images. But this is crucial change which we can see from her works before the war and now.
And then there's another photographer who used to be a wedding photographer, and in the exhibition we see pictures of makeshift bomb shelters in metro trains, in the subway, everyday life within the war, just scenes from that. He used to be a wedding photographer, you said.
Yeah, Pavlo Dorogoy, he is from Kharkiv, and he used to work as a wedding photographer. But also the last years he was really interested of the architecture, so he started also to make photos of the architecture. But nowadays he decided to stay in Kharkiv, and actually it's important to say that Kharkiv is bombed every day. Every single day it's something happen, and it's very dangerous to be there, to live there. But he's staying there, and he's really trying and focusing to capture the moments how the city is transformed, how the houses are destroyed, and also he did these brilliant works of the metro stations which were used as a bomb shelter for the thousands of people in Kharkiv, and he showed how this public transport were transformed to the temporary houses, and how the people really tried to create the atmosphere, the comfortable atmosphere for their living there. Even they brought the flowers inside, to have this kind of symbols of life.
Seit Beginn des Krieges im Februar haben sich viele ukrainische FotografInnen weit weg von ihren sonstigen Motiven mit ihrer Kamera in das Kriegsgeschehen hineinbegeben. Dabei klaffen die Motive oft weit auseinander. Lisa Bokereva aus Kiew zum Beispiel hat vor dem Krieg viel zu Jugendkulturen gearbeitet und die ukrainische Rave-Szene fotografiert. Pavlo Dorogoy aus Kharkiv hingegen war als Hochzeitsfotograf tätig und interessierte sich künstlerisch für Architektur. In der Ausstellung The New Abnormal ist Lisa Bokereva mit einem persönlichen, schwarz-weiß gehaltenen Fototagebuch der ersten Kriegswochen vertreten. Pavlo Dorogoy zeigt unter anderem Fotos von U-Bahn-Waggons, die zu Luftschutzräumen wurden. Seit Februar wurden unzählige internationale JournalistInnen und FotografInnen in die Ukraine entsendet, um das Kriegsgeschehen zu dokumentieren. Im Gegensatz zu ihren ukrainischen KollegInnen können sie nach Beendigung ihres Auftrags in den meisten Fällen in einen Alltag zurückkehren, der nicht vom Krieg bestimmt ist. Die ukrainischen FotografInnen sind oft zwangsläufig näher am Geschehen, da es sie selbst, ihr Leben und ihre Arbeit betrifft. Daher plädiert Kateryna Radchenko auch über ihr Netzwerk der Odesa Photo Days hinaus dafür, ukrainischen Dokumentationen des Krieges eine größere Plattform zu verschaffen und lokale Berichterstattung zu stärken. Eine ausgewogene Balance aus lokalen und internationalen Perspektiven ist für Kateryna Radchenko vor allem auch angesichts russischer Propaganda- und Desinformationskampagnen unerlässlich.
Ukrainian photographers, they know the context, they know the language. And it's give them possibility to really go deep to the topic. And from another side, their stories are super emotionally because the artists belong to the story. They're part of the story. So it's kind of really difficult to take the distance. You're still in it. And for the international artists, of course, there's the photographers who is working already 8 years in Ukraine, and they really know the stories behind. But also there's a bunch of artists who is coming for the 2 weeks,
and then they go back home.
Exactly,
to a country without a war.
They're coming for 2 weeks. They're taking this is okay. This is a good job, good time. They're coming there. They have fixer. They have a driver. They know that anytime they can back home. There's to the safe place to have a rest, and it's completely different. I think the most important is keep the balance. Now we don't have this balance. Now the majority of the coverage is the international photojournalist who is coming to Ukraine. And the balance, because it's different angles and different view on the same situation. Of course, the Ukrainian artists could show really important stories, but it's also important that the international artists continue to come and to cover their stories, because sometimes it helps when you don't know the context. Sometimes it helps to see from the different angle. But still, it's all about the balancing. If we will give the voice only for the international media, then it's mean that where's Ukrainian voice? Ukrainians are there, they could really share a lot of stories and different stories. So this is important as well. So for me, I think the balancing to give the voices for Ukrainian artists in the same way how to give to the international is the most important.
What would you like people who come to see the new Abnormal exhibition, what would you like them to take away from the exhibition, to take home with them?
Well, it's important to really not forget that the war is going on, first of all, because now when I'm traveling to Europe, I can see that it feels that it's already everything is over. And this is important that not repeat the same mistake as it was in 2016, 17, 18, because it was the same time that the war starts in Ukraine. It was a lot of media coverage, but then it's less, and then people were sure that the war it's finished, but not. And then, of course, because of this, the new wave of war was possible. Everything is connected. So in this case, I would like that people really thought about this. The war is still going on. Another thing is that the war didn't finish yet, and we don't know how it will develop. And it could be finished only in Ukraine, but it could be developed and take really much more territories which we don't know. And it's important to be aware before it happens. It helps us to be prepared. It helps us to learn our mistakes from the past. So this is I could say kind of important to remind about this, to give this possibility to try to understand what's going on in Ukraine, to try to take this position and to understand this is not our choice. It can happen with everybody. But now we have really unite to stop it before it will happen to everybody.
What would you say right now is the best way to show or even act in solidarity from here in Germany?
First of all, I think it's I Germany and a lot of countries people. First of all, I'm talking about people, not about the politicians, but people doing a lot, and people really from the first moment it was obvious it's really a lot of people open their doors, they send some humanitarian helps, collecting these helps, and this is really a lot, and this is a big support. But from another side, what I'm thinking that it's important still to not yes, it's kind of rotation, I can say.
To stay informed.
Yes, to stay informed and to continue to do it while we'll not get the victory. Because it's if we will stop now because we are tired, because it's too much for us, then we will have the repetition of the story, and then it could be the new escalation or bigger escalation, and maybe more countries will be involved. And this is the thing that yes, it's difficult, it's complicated, but we have to keep going.
Dass wir informiert bleiben und nicht müde werden, uns über die aktuellen Entwicklungen in der Ukraine immer wieder auf den neuesten Stand zu bringen. Solidarität durch Aufmerksamkeit, nicht einfach abzustumpfen. Das empfindet Kateryna Radchenko in der aktuellen anhaltenden Kriegssituation in der Ukraine als elementar wichtig. The New Abnormal, die Ausstellung im Foxy, dem temporären Haus der Fotografie der Deichtorhallen Hamburg, zeigt Ausschnitte des ukrainischen Lebens im und mit dem Krieg und macht auch hier etwas mehr als 1000 Kilometer Luftlinie entfernt, zumindest für einen Moment, die widersprüchlichen Emotionen, den Spagat zwischen Gefühlszuständen empfindbar, mit dem die ausgestellten ukrainischen FotografInnen seit Februar, teilweise auch schon länger, leben müssen. Die Ausstellung The New Abnormal ist noch bis zum 6. November 2022 im Foxy der Deichtorhallen Hamburg zu sehen. Das war eine neue Folge von Das ist Kunst, dem Podcast der Deichtorhallen Hamburg in Zusammenarbeit mit Byte FM. Wenn ihr mögt, dann hinterlasst uns doch eine Bewertung und euer Feedback. Damit helft ihr anderen HörerInnen, den Podcast leichter zu finden. Ihr könnt uns übrigens auch schreiben unter dasistkunst@deichtorhallen.de. Wir freuen uns über eure Anregungen und Kritik. Ich bin Friederike Herr und sage Tschüss. Wenn ihr mögt, bis zum nächsten Mal.